Yo, 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 yo! Welcome to another episode of the joeZONE podcast. Yo, I know it's been quite a while. Nental, how long has it been? You know how long?
It could go 2 months.
2 months.
It's almost 2 months.
It's been 2 months since we last recorded, and we had to get like a special guest to bring us back. Like somebody's gonna change up the direction of where we were going to, because I think we were going on a path that was like very cliched, like something we always wanted to come here and do something unique, and so I think we had to take a step back to take a step forward. So we're here with today, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking this, like I said, we're taking a step in a different direction. So we're here with the one of the founders of the Father's Heart organization. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Carolissen.
Hi, thanks for having me. I was wondering when this guest was going to arrive, but it's good to be here. Yeah.
It's you. You're the man. You're the guy, man. I think we want to do, when we started podcasting, or when we first had a vision for what we're doing around here, it was always community first, like community development. It's like helping the community with our voices, maybe. Like we thought that's maybe a platform or a channel to do it. Like maybe they can hear what we're saying, or I think we've displayed over the past 2 years or few years, 6 years or so, we've showed people from our community that has gone on to do awesome things.
Yeah.
So now we've got another guy in here that's within the community that's also doing awesome things. Like, and can you tell us like a little bit about like how you got started in working within the space that you are now? Sure. I know you told me you got the IT background. If you want to start there, you can start there.
Sure, I will, man. So
I want to know about the community aspect.
Sure. It's funny. I mean, like, you associate IT with community, man. That's what I was.
Totally different. Like chalk and cheese.
Yeah, chalk and cheese. So yes, I am from the IT background. I worked for all the years, about 20 odd years in IT. That was my passion. I loved it. That apart from football. Yeah. I always wanted to be a professional football player. But what was funny is I always loved kids. I always knew there was something more to life than just making money, looking after my family, and, being solid in that aspect. And then in about 2018, my wife and I fostered 2 boys. And over the years, you know that life happens. People go through trials and tribulations, and you struggle with things, but then you're like, how do you get through it? And as a family, I mean, myself, my wife, our 2 kids, we knew that there was communities. We knew that people were going through troubles, and we always thought if we give a little bit back, then we're good. Help out in the church, we're good. But when we fostered these 2 boys, they came from a middle-class family, and we saw the trauma that they were going through, and it was like living in a movie.
How old were they when you...
So the eldest one was 11, and his brother was 6 years old. So coming into our home, we thought, lekker, extended play date. No worries, There shouldn't be any issues. And I'll tell you, after a month, it was like we didn't know what was going on, how to deal with the issues that we were experiencing, because our kids obviously were reared in a certain way. We could see how they would respond to discipline, but we couldn't apply the same tactics in this regard. You try to send the kid to a timeout, or you threaten them with a slipper, and they would just not even respond. So there was a lot of things going on that we weren't aware of. And my wife, very pragmatic, she decided to do some research. And then we discovered what trauma does to a person. Because we also noticed these boys were much smaller than our kids, even though, the eldest was the same age as my daughter. So we started to check what trauma does. And we realized that trauma impacts on every aspect of growth, your physical nature, your mental state. And then we started to understand a bit more about what was going on. And that then made us realize, if these kids from a middle-class family with the resources they need were going through this much issues, trying to get through life, what's happening in the communities where there's no resources? They don't know how to deal with trauma. Children are getting beaten because they are naughty, as they say. So yeah, that's how we started, and that's how we moved from where we were into community work. Yeah.
So you started first fostering 2 kids, and that's how you got into it. You had this. I read on your website, so the material you sent me, I think you said you had a calling.
Yes. So for me, for my wife and I, this is a calling. I always say, if you want to go into the non-profit space, make sure that this is something that you're not doing for your own gain, that you're not doing for self-glorification.
Yeah.
We say it's a calling. We are Christian, and we feel like this is something that people set out to do. Everybody has a bigger purpose in life.
When did you have the calling? Did you have it while you were experiencing this with these kids, or was it after that or before that?
It was actually before. Funny enough, 2013 already. While I was sitting at my desk and I was doing my IT stuff, I was busy working at one of the, I don't know if I can mention the name, the Green Giant. I was working there, and I just had this impression on my heart to, draw this building, and at the top of the building had hostels for boys specifically, because fatherlessness is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, I know what the impact of fatherlessness has on the kids, them and gangsterism, all those things as a result.
Yeah.
And sitting with that, I was like, I drew this building. At the top of the building, it was this hostels where boys that were discarded or being abused could come to.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom was like, pool tables, some skills training, some education, and like a soccer field, man.
Yeah.
Just to give them an opportunity that they might not get. So that's where that imprinted on me. That
So
was
in 2013 you had an idea.
Yeah.
In 2018 you sort of actioned that idea.
Correct. We kept running because our kids were small and we were scared. Because it's like, you look at it and you think, how do you go from what we're doing now, living a comfortable life, to actually having this building up and doing these things full time? And we were like, no, this is too much.
How long did you foster those kids for?
So they were with us for 6 months.
6 months is not that long.
It doesn't sound long, but when you're going through what we went through, it was extremely long. And the funny thing is, they were supposed to be with us permanently, because a few of the details is that the mom had told us she had no family. And unfortunately, we found out afterwards that there were some issues between the family, and she was actually one of 6 siblings. And the law in South Africa is that the child has to first go to the family. So after 6 months, the family stepped in and the kids were moved. So it was hard for us. That was actually heart-wrenching because, even though you're going through all these things, these boys now became part of our family. But eventually we had to step out, let them go. But we can see now what the plan was. That was basically baptism by fire. That was like, we're putting you in the deep end. You have to swim now, and in preparation for what we started afterwards.
So you didn't go back to fostering anymore then?
No, now I foster hundreds and thousands of kids.
So what is your next step in order to reach your goal?
So now,
At that stage.
So at that stage, basically, we were serious about.
So it was 2019, say.
So that was the end of 2018, going to 2019. So funny enough, in between August and November, we had met with another couple. And they came to us and they said, look, they feel like they prayed for us and they gave us a scripture. And they said that, they feel like whatever it is that was set aside for us is still for us. And then we knew, okay, that calling is real. And my wife and I were like, okay, now we need to dig into this, do some research. And in November, I went to go speak to this gentleman again. And he said, look, he feels we're probably going to start in March. And I was like, yeah, March when? Because it's November 2018. So I'm like, yeah, March, 2021, something like that. And he's like, no, you're starting now. And I kid you not, the 6th of March 2019, we stepped out into an organization to train. So we literally went for training on the 6th of March.
Yeah, I read about this training. Tell me about the training that you went for.
So my wife, again, did a lot of research, and we decided, we met with another organization that basically leads NPOs in the right direction. They tell you, okay, this is where you need to go for funding. This is where you need to go for your specific training. And they said to us, don't reinvent the wheel. We love what you have in your heart, what it is that you have already detailed. Because my wife and I, we sat and we said, this is what we want to do. Yeah. And then we were like,
you had like a business plan.
It's like a business plan. Because stepping out of corporate, we basically thought,
we want to break it down for everybody else out there.
Sure.
Let's break it down. So you came up with a business plan.
A business plan, yeah.
It was because you had a background in corporate. Yeah. You knew you both had these skills to come up with this plan together.
So we sat, exactly that. We sat down and we detailed what we wanted to do, how we were going to do it, but we didn't know where to start. Because like I said, I come out of IT, my wife was in marketing and a financial advisor, so it's like that doesn't correlate to working on the ground in community. So we sat, we detailed it in our business plan the way we wanted to, and then they said to us, just go and meet with organizations that do the work on the ground, not necessarily the same, but similar to what you are planning to do. And that's what we did. So for 6 months, we trained with an organization that does something that aftercare, basically after school programs with other kids in the community. And when we were there,
For 6 months?
6 months.
You didn't get much salary then?
No. So my wife left full-time employment and she started doing that. So I'll just say she earned like $5,000 a month. That was it. And I was still working full-time and then basically training on the side. And it was interesting times because it was like, we stepped out, but we didn't step out fully at the time because, you're still holding on to that salary that you're getting and you're thinking, what's going to happen? But for that 6 months, we did the training. Once the training was done, we had to decide, they actually wanted us to join the organization. But we said, at the end of the day, we can't because what we plan to do is not the same. What we plan to, our model is different to, I think, just about every other organization. Because like I said, we do holistic solutions. It's a holistic resources. And so, on the 1st of November, 2019, we registered the Father's Heart Community Development on the cusp of COVID.
When you say holistic, like for those there's people out there like that might not know what holistic means. I think I have a good understanding. But break it down for me. What does holistic mean to your organization?
So the easiest way to explain it would be to say, if you look at your own life, what resources do you need on a daily basis to get by with your family?
Yeah.
And those solutions we bring in. So if you need assistance with education, say your children are struggling in school or they're not in school, nutrition, you don't have food in your house.
Yes.
Your roofs are leaking, or you don't have a house, you live in an informal settlement. Now, those type of things. So we address every aspect of your life and we become the partner that walks aside with you.
Do you only do it to low-income families or something like that, for families in need, or do you do it for... Is there like a cap on that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there is a cap. So we are on the ground in the community called TheFather'sHeartcommunitydevelopment, right?
Okay, in a specific community
at the moment. So the plan is to branch out into other communities, but this is our flagship, let's call it that, where we started. This is the community that we started working with, and where we basically cutting our teeth, so to speak.
Okay, so you're focusing from one area and then working your way out there. And there's foster kids and everything within that area.
Yes.
Like early day, what you call it? ECDs.
Yeah, early childhood development.
Early child development centers.
So I think let me give you a little bit of a picture of TheFather'sHeartcommunitydevelopment. So TheFather'sHeartcommunitydevelopment is a community that's growing at an alarming rate. They are like 7 minutes outside of Durbanville in the northern suburbs.
Yeah.
The community is about 40,000 now. When we started in 2019, there was about 26,000 people. The last census done, the proper census was 2011, and that census still says 12,000. So you can imagine in the 2011 to 2018, they went to 20,000. Now, from 2019 till where we're at now, they're at 40,000. So it's growing.
Where are they coming from?
So we have people from the other parts, other communities in the Western Cape, but a lot of people are coming from the Eastern Cape.
Okay.
So the thing about being in the Western Cape, we obviously know it's run pretty well, but even in that community, the services are quite good. So people are flocking down, and then there's they want to talk about the political game where they send people down in their busloads, but they end up there.
They send people down in the busloads.
Yeah.
This has always been a sensitive topic, especially around the Triple C.
Yes.
They always have opposing thoughts to this. Do you feel there's a lot of people coming down from the Eastern Cape there and into Cape Town?
Yeah, look, we've seen it. That's what I'm saying. Like what I've seen personally is that you have housing that's being built, RDP housing, and there's a waiting list for those housing.
Yes. And
then there's issues because overnight, the next day, or you go away for a week, you come back, and there's people in those houses that weren't even from the community. So then the community's in uproar.
Okay, so that is the problem.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
And it's around the housing.
So it's around the housing. It changes the crime as well. I mean, TheFather'sHeartcommunitydevelopment is one of those communities that's very much community orientated. And the type of crime they had when we started was like petty theft, things like that. And then there would be the guys that did it would be sorted out. Yeah. But then it escalated now to where we actually have had a couple of hijackings. We've had kids that are being shot, stabbed, things like that, and it's escalated. So That's what happens when you change the demographic of the community. When people come in and they have a completely different way of doing things.
Yeah. Is there a lot of drinking in the community going down?
Yeah. So
because I imagine it's like sort of, you know, the Western people in the Western Cape tend to be the alcohol problem.
Yeah. So the big thing that you'll find in that community and just about everyone is alcohol abuse is through the roof. I mean, unfortunately, and I understand it to a certain degree. I obviously don't condone it. I'm trying to help them away from it. But when you have nothing, when you're living way below the poverty line, and you're trying to just numb yourself. I mean, even if you're living in a mansion and you've got problems, people turn to substances to numb themselves. So the same thing happens there. And unfortunately, they also are preyed on. Like, for example, on a Friday, what you will see is the SAB trucks are pulled in. And people will be using their wages to buy alcohol instead of feeding their families. And those are the type of issues that we have to deal with.
That's big problems.
Yeah.
So what is the counterpunch to that, to those alcohol abuse problems?
Well, that obviously leads to so much other stuff. I mean, we've got.
What do you do to counteract that?
Yeah,
what do you try to do to counteract that?
So the reason for it is that a lot of the men that are there, I mean, majority of the families are women run because the men disappear. Yeah. But the men that are there that end up drinking themselves into stupor, they do that because they feel inadequate. A lot of them do that because they're trying to get away from the problems that they have to face. I mean, if you as a father, you're trying to look after your family and now you're falling short and you've got like 5 kids, then obviously that puts a lot of pressure on you. So they tend to do what they need to do to numb that, like I said. So what we do is we try to create support groups. So we've done it for the women, and one of the gentlemen that works with me from the community, we do like a men's group. So it's like a braai. Because men, once you put them around a fire and you start boerewors rolls going or chops or whatever, and you start chatting, in that time, it takes a while, but the guys start to talk. Then they start to open up, they start to engage, and they start to tell you about it a little bit more. So we just try to open the dialogue so that they can start to open up. Because if you put guys let's say you put them in a room, and you put them in a circle and you say, okay, we're going to talk about your problems. Yeah. No one's going to say anything.
Nobody's going to say a word, yeah.
But you make that fire and you get them around there and you have a boerewors roll. Everybody talks. You know?
And that's your way to sort of start conversations.
Yeah. Look, the thing is you need to
understand. Does it help?
It helps. We need to understand the community. Once you understand on the ground. Yeah. Look, we always.
It's a quite counterpunch. I never thought that it'd be one.
No,
that's a good jab.
Yeah, exactly.
I was looking at bigger things, like almost like the arts and the sports and stuff like that. Almost like those as stuff to almost like as a precursor to the men getting into the.
Yeah. So you see, you have to look at the categories. So you're going to have, when we talk about the men in Versandkraal, we're talking about those that are aged, let's say, in their 30s and up.
Yeah.
So they're not going to really, they might go and play cricket, things like that, but sport is obviously seasonal.
Yeah.
So you need to do something that can keep them focused. So we can braai anytime. We can get together and watch a game, football, rugby, whatever. If they don't have it at home, we set it up at the office. Things like that, man. So you have to have things that will bring them in, pull them in. Whereas a sport, yes, we do sport. We have got cricket, we've got soccer. Introducing tennis now as well. Things like that. But to make sure that they are consistently involved in something is key. Consistency is key. You can't do a 2-week, we're going to do a 2-week soccer academy. Oaks are going to come lovely. And then after that, you leave. What happens then? So those are the lessons that we've learned in the time.
I know a sport that you can do when you're old.
Yeah, bowls.
A sport that maybe they get all the aggression out. Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and then, it sounds like a plan, and then they break a hip though.
If you do that, I guess ego is always the killer. So my thoughts and ideas is around getting people into things that keeps them away from doing the negative thing.
Yeah.
Like even as an aging man, he needs to keep fit. Like even it's like a weights, or something like that, or something like that. He needs to do something physical that's almost like, I don't know, to get that
aggression. No, you're 100% right.
To get that out.
So let me talk to this a bit. So we obviously have programs that are tailor-made to the youngsters and the youth. So for the adults. So I agree with you, boxing.
Yes.
Fantastic. Wrestling, anything that's physical that allows him. So, as you know, we're building our building next year. So the building will have a gym because we will have the five-a-side.
you said you never mentioned this building before.
Yeah.
Where are you building this building?
So the building will be in the heart of a Santa Kraal. So
You're building a building in the heart of a Santa
Yeah,
Kraal.
that's it.
And you've got the finance one.
So yeah, we actually, my wife, amazing woman, did a proposal, and what was funny, it's actually quite a testimony. Like this proposal is for a construction fund, right? They do massive constructions, and they give you like a 4-week window where you need to ask questions in the first week, and then after that you need to come out and you have to basically go and fill in this form. All they say to you is that it needs to be detailed. That's it. They didn't tell you how long, 100 pages, 30 pages, whatever. She reviewed this, and when they found out about it, because it's like cloak and dagger stuff, they only send it out just like the last minute. She had missed the first week. So in that first week, you can ask questions. They completely missed it because they only found it afterwards. So she said, okay, fine. She did what she needed to do, did the research, answered the questions, did the proposal, submitted like a 31 to 33 page proposal.
You sure? That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. My poor wife, she was exhausted, lots of tears, but got it through. And what was amazing is there was 288 submissions for this. We get a phone call to say we've now been finalized to the last 6. And that was the Monday. That was the Wednesday. They're sending out a delegation from Johannesburg to come and vet us. Because we'll talk about that as well. But they flew a team down. The Wednesday, they were at us. They drilled us for 3 hours. Wanted to know about everything we do. Wanted to see the books. Wanted to see. We had to basically be very transparent. So it was easy. We could give them everything. Once they were done with that, they submitted that to their board. And then they came back and said, listen, successful, we're going to award you 16.3 million for your building. Yeah, so that was like a massive testimony because like my wife says, you miss that first week, 3 weeks, you focus like that and you get all glory to God on that one. Just like,
by the way,
it's crazy.
Okay, building the building is one thing.
Yeah.
Right? Sustaining the building
Yeah.
for a number of years is another.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So now we thought about that as well. So our build team has been with us since day one. We've got the top of the tops. I mean, we've got our building team is Power Construction. I mean, you guys must have heard of Power Construction.
Yes.
We've got the best architects, best engineers, and they're all doing these things pro bono, which is amazing as well. But what we've done,
So you saved that money.
So that money covers labor.
You're the man, bruh.
No, that money covers the labor, materials, and getting everything up. So I wish I could say we're keeping that money, but no.
You save some money.
Yeah, some of it will go into the programs and stuff afterwards, but that's if anything's left. The build is going to cost 26 million. So we're 10 million short, but we have a plan. I'll get to that now. But with regards to like sustainability, so we've already, solar is already set, so we'll have solar energy. The way the building's been designed is to allowing as much natural light. The materials being used is basically easy maintenance to make sure that we don't have to worry about like painting and stuff like that. With kids rubbing their hands against the walls.
Yeah.
So all those little aspects have been checked out and already been like reviewed, like the corporate.
Yeah.
So we made tick boxes, made sure we cover everything. So the team has been together for a while. We're actually going to have a new follow-up meeting just to now get the ball rolling, breaking down.
So it's so awesome, man, to hear that this is happening. I'm so so you know what, like just to hear a story like this, like sometimes I don't know why our podcast, but now I know why. To hear something like this, like that something like this is gonna happen, like that you built it, like you build it and they'll come. Field of Dreams.
I like that.
What's that movie?
Yes. Build, they'll come. And I mean another thing from the background, the corporate background, what we're doing now, we're doing from an RDP house. So we've got 2 RDP houses that is connected
to this building.
No. This building must still be built. So we're doing everything that we're doing in our RDP houses. We start building in basically Feb after Builders Holiday.
Okay.
So everything is now ready. We basically in that, that last 3 months before you start, we have to do the nuts and bolts. That you have to know basically what every screw is going to cost. All those little things. So we're in that phase now.
Okay.
So once that's done, then we can break ground. We wanted to break ground this year, but we figured, Builders Holiday is December. You don't want to leave a site unattended. So we'll start as soon as Builders Holiday is done. Feb, we'll break ground.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then now this place will be built in for Santa Kraal.
Yeah.
Right? it will be probably what is all inside this,
Okay.
the building.
So the exciting part now, yeah. So we've got 2 halls. The first one is a minor hall.
Yeah.
That minor hall is dual purpose. So it will have dividers that will allow us to do programs like dance, do plays, to a canteen as well, because we have to feed the kids. So every day we provide hot meals to the children. That also then can separate them into classrooms and for skills development.
Is there classrooms on the premises?
Yes. So adjacent to that, we've got 5 classrooms that will serve as like you mentioned, ECD.
Yeah.
But we are not an ECD. So what we're doing is, what we've found out in Versantecraal and like others, there's about 40 unregistered ECDs. And what that means is there's a gogo that's at home.
I know.
Looks after, they look
that's
after
why
kids.
I mentioned, why I said ECD. I didn't say creche or something like
exactly.
that. Because sometimes it's like,
exactly.
it's just like the EC. So I know about the ECDs. There's so many in the in like the small the areas, like you say, auntie looking after 5 kids, auntie looking after 10 kids, auntie doing this, auntie doing that, and
they basically sit and watch TV all day.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Here we go.
So that child is never going to be ready for grade 1 or grade R for that matter, because they're sitting watching TV. So the idea is, what we'll do is we'll have a trained facilitator.
Yeah.
And we will then ensure that they are trained. They can come, use our facility, because everything will be set up. The classrooms will be set up. So that gogo comes, she has a class there. She still gets her income from the parents that's looking after the kid. But now they're in a more secure environment. They have all the materials they need. And what will happen now is they will be trained up themselves.
So she's going to get trained.
So she gets trained up. So after a year, right? So now we've got 5 classrooms. So that's 5 gogos at a time. After a year, she can then decide, okay, I want to stay on here, or I want to go back to my house. But now we know. She goes back to her house with the resources that she's been provided with. She's qualified. She's registered. Now we ensure that more kids are ready for grade R. So that's the thinking. Because like I said to you, we're a small team, but if you work smarter, you don't have to do everything yourself. Otherwise you look like me after 5 years, all grey. So so that's one section. So we have the ECD portion for training. Then we have the minor hall, like I mentioned, dual purpose. A gourmet kitchen, which is basically going to be run by a mother from Versantecraal that's been working with us from day one. That's a case study, which I'll talk to. And the veg garden outside, that will basically feed that. So there's your sustainability again. Sure, we can grow and teach the kids how to cultivate. Yeah. Because, it doesn't make sense for them to have to buy all the time. And then we'll be catching rainwater into JoJo's for that and for the bathrooms. And that will be filtered. Not for drinking, just for the bathrooms. And like I said, solar for energy. And then we'll have music and art studios. So the music studio is because kids today, not all of them are going to be academics. They have so much complex trauma that their brains don't develop. That's the thing that people don't understand about trauma. It impacts how you see life, how your brain develops, and you're not going to be able to become an A student. So they need to have an alternative to standing on the corners and doing nothing all day. So what we do is we do art therapy, which is dual purpose. Art therapy helps them to get over their trauma, but it also teaches them a skill so that one day they can then go and become an artist. Like I mentioned, graffiti is now a big thing where the Oaks can have a studio, they can do paintings and stuff. So we'll have a full-on art studio, and we currently do that from our premises that we're in at the moment. Then we have a music lab. Now, the music lab is not going to be just a room with instruments. We're going to have a studio where they can produce music, where they can basically learn proper instruments. We're doing it already in partnership with another organization.
So your focus is strongly on the arts. And
it's on the arts. It's on basically, like I said, holistic. We are attaching everything, sport as well. And then IT, my background.
Okay.
So one thing that we started in 2022, it was one of those 3 o'clock in the mornings. I woke up and I was like, I need to start a school. I don't know anything about a school. I don't know anything about being a principal or a teacher or anything like that. But I knew in the community, there's such a big gap in education. So now you guys, we can send our kids to a good school. There's like 20, maybe 30 in a class. They can learn, they can go on and become successful.
Yeah.
In a community, in a public school. Now I went to a public school. I know what it's like. You have like 60 in a class. How do you focus? The teacher spends half the lesson trying to calm them down. Then you have to deal with bullying. You have to deal with abuse by your pupils. You get into fights, things like that. So one of the things that I picked up in Versant is like a lot of kids were just not going to school. They just Didn't want to because they were being teased. You know, you can't buy proper school uniform. Now you're coming in broken stuff. The girls were falling pregnant after COVID. I mean, that impacted, they were like so much teen pregnancy. And then it was like, we need to give them an alternative. So we started an online school. So the online school is in partnership with another so we're not a school, not registered as a school. We partner with a registered organization called Think Digital. So, you know,
how does that keep them off the corners?
So exactly. So basically, like if you decide your kid doesn't want to go to mainstream school, and wants to be homeschooled, all right? So now we offer them exactly that. They come to our office, and we have laptops, internet. They basically go to school. The girls, we've now had a couple
like online school
but
at premises.
But, yeah, so we've got, it's like we can facilitate 20 at the moment. Now, above that art and music lab that I was talking about, we're building, that's the only double-story section, and we'll have an IT lab. So the IT lab is dual purpose. Half of it will be for online school, because the online school runs Monday to Friday, like a normal school, but the other half will be job creation. So IT background, remote support. So my idea is to partner with a couple of companies I'm working with at the moment, where students can come do the IT courses and actually then work from there. So that's the plan for that. And then we have a major hall, which is for the older kids. So we need to separate the younger kids from the older kids, just for trauma purposes, because, you know, they take it out on each other, like the older kids will...
What is your youngest and what is your oldest kid ranging at the school?
So we start... So in general, now overall organization, we start at 6 years old, and we basically we cut off when they're a sustainable adult. So you can be 25, you're still part of our programs. We got 30-year-olds on our programs. They only graduate when they're sustainable adults that are contributing to society. So we don't have a cutoff for them, but at the school we did try from grade 1 to matric. But what happened was the younger kids, they struggle with the laptops because it's too much of a distraction. So now we're focusing on from grade 7 up until matric. We currently have a matriculant that's writing prelims now. And what we've seen is like the kids that have joined have actually improved their marks, because now they've got that one-on-one interaction. Even though they're all in the same room, there's various grades. So they have to focus, and they've got earphones in, so they basically, them and the screen. They just finished the exams now, and I'm glad to say that they're all passed again. So we're going from 20 now. When that building is up, we can have basically 70 to 100. So eventually it becomes a full functioning school again for them as well. Nice. And then, and to give back to the community, because that's the key. The key is always to make sure that what you're doing is not for you. It needs to be what the community needs. Yeah. So we have the major hall, which will be for youth, but the facility will be available for the community to use for weddings, funerals, for a function, because that's lacking. They don't have those resources, so they can use that.
So why isn't the city implementing any of those in this community?
So they are starting now. So basically, when we got
there, you're working with the city.
We're not working with them, but we are. How can I say this? When there's questions asked, we are very willing to give our input. Let's put it that way. That's the best way I can put it. So we've had engagements with the city. They actually came out and looked at what we're doing, and they're assisting now with our plans for our building. So that's how we got it finally sorted out, because there was a bit of delays. And they loved our plans, our model, and they want to see it replicated in other communities. Yeah. So now, I mean, like for example, the deputy mayor, he was at our site, and he's very keen to see us go up, be successful there, so that we can replicate. So when I say work with the city, when they asked, they came to us to ask about the situations on the ground, what's been happening, what's been changing, so they can address it. One of the things we mentioned was the fact that there's no resources, there's no football field. The kids were playing soccer on like uneven ground. I mean, they made use of it, but it was dangerous. They could get injured. So, I mean, things like that. So now they're building a nice, beautiful AstroTurf pitch next to the rec center, which is fantastic. Okay. So there's movement. And they built a clinic just after COVID, because COVID put that place on the map. The sad part is that when we got there, I mean, they refer to themselves as the forgotten people. Because, I mean, every time, if you look at, just driving here now, you drive through the areas that get majority of the support. I mean, you have the Lavender Hills, you have the Hanover Parks, those areas, they're always in the news because there's something happening there. For Santa Kraal, in the location that he is, I mean, they're on the outskirts. So you don't really hear about them. You don't really see what's going on there. After COVID, they were voted the best supported community because there were 6 nonprofits, us included, in that actually made sure that whole community was fed. That community was taken care of. And then obviously that brought in more attention and then put them on the map. And now they've got their clinic, their sports grounds going up. They've built 2 additional schools because the schools are overcrowded. So things are happening. So it's finally getting there, and we're excited about that, yeah.
So they're building additional schools as well?
Yeah, so they built 2 mobile schools because they had 1 high school and 1 primary school that were way overpopulated. And I mean, the 2 extra schools they built is still not enough, but it's there, it's helping. And that's why with our solution now, it adds to it. So we're basically increasing that footprint.
You mentioned something about the community of being like 40,000.
Yes,
like that.
yeah.
With 2 schools. Like,
Yeah. So you do the math. A school that's built for 900 had 1,200 kids in. So that's enough. So yeah, it is.
Sounds quite hectic over there.
Yeah.
So, sorry. A lot of the work that's getting done, you said there were 6 different organizations working. Where are these other organizations? Are they all from the Cape Town area?
Yes, so all the organizations are based in Versant. They're from the Durbanville surrounding area, but it's all focusing on different things. Like I said, we're the only one that does holistic solutions. It's like one will focus on soup kitchens, one focuses on animal
feeding.
one focuses on animals, one focuses on like just training, things like that, yeah.
Okay, I see. So now there is getting support. It's good to know that people are getting supported.
Yeah.
But the government seems to be, I don't know, they're falling short in a lot of places. In the Western Cape, there seems to be a lot more happening in other parts of the country.
Yes,
I don't know.
agreed.
Do you agree with that?
I do agree. I think that with the new way things are happening now, with the new government, with the mayor being very involved, we've seen a lot more traction. So that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at previously, there was very little happening there. Now, I mean, every week the mayor's in the area, which is good. So there seems to be traction. But I still think, they're so far behind that catching up is going to be quite a mission.
Is that political favoring, or do you think is really doing good work?
I would have said, I'll be completely honest, I would have said it was more the political side of things. But after actually engaging and seeing them there, you can see this is not just photo ops. Because I've seen the photo ops. Okay. This is actually like, I literally, because I've seen them say, I'm going to do this, and then they do it. So for me, I'm that type of oak. Your word is your bond. If you say, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do this.
You've seen the actual work
I've seen
done.
the work done, yeah. I
must say there is areas that, there is things that I've seen that's great. Like, I traveled on the trains recently.
Yes.
A few months back. And I was very, very impressed with the situation of the trains. The trains is in very good condition. It's safety on the trains. So there seems to be a lot of work done. But there's always the
room for improvement.
I'm living lekker because I live in a nice area, but what's happening in the other areas?
Yeah.
Is the city supporting those other areas as well as they supporting the areas that I'm in now?
I see what you mean. Like, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe they're getting my vote and stuff like that. That's all fun. But what's happening in the other areas, man? Are those people being supported as well as... Or is everybody being supported equally in the Western Cape?
No, then there's always going to be a disparity. That's just
So
it.
That's a different situation. Now you're saying something different to what you said earlier.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
I'm trying to catch out.
No, I get what you're saying, but there's obviously the reason for it. It's like if you're paying more tax, they're going to have to use your tax money in the area that you live.
That sounds unfair, bro.
Yeah, it is.
It sounds unfair. Like, it sounds like those people need it more than me.
Yeah, they do, and that's why we're there.
That's why the non-profits and the NGOs are there, and that's why corporates should invest in that non-profits.
Correct.
Because there should be that funnel going through back into the communities, and it just should also come from corporates as well as government. If government is doing their part, corporates should be held accountable as well, because I mean we buying from them all the time, and it's maybe. It's also upon us to choose where we spend our money.
No, that's perfect. And I mean, if you just think about this, let's talk about that situation with the teachers. I mean, that's like been a hot topic, right? Where they were cutting the funds, budget cuts. So everybody's
They're cutting the jobs.
cutting funds, and that's now resulting in some jobs being lost. I think 2,400 or something.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, what are we going to do? Are we all going to sit and moan and scream and shout, or do we do something about it? So that's what I'm saying. Like, so yes, now I understand why we started an online school. Now, I'm not saying everybody must go start an online school, but I'm saying there are ways that we get around it by actually being proactive. Instead of sitting and saying, oh, the government. Yes, the government has their role to play. They shouldn't be cutting funds there, fine. But how do we, like you said now, how do corporates get involved? How do individuals get involved? How do they find a way to find solutions? Because I'm tired of I'm at the point now where I can't deal with, woe is me anymore, man. You know, life's too short for us to sit and like always moan about everything. We need to find solutions. And that's why, like, I would not have said maybe 6 years ago that I'll be sitting as a founder of a nonprofit. It was never really something that I thought about to this degree. Now I can't look at it and think of anything else. There's no way I'm going back. But now I need to see, how do I make this work? How do we get, and I mean, if you look in the corporate space now, they're finally wising up. They're not throwing money down a rabbit hole. They're actually making sure that the funds are being used in the right way, which is right. You need to vet.
Because of stealing,
corruption.
Because the government, like the previous president, was taking too much money.
Yeah, look. So unfortunately, we're fallible as men, as women. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna steal. It's just not everybody, but when you get put in a position like that, where it's that simple, that easy, they're gonna do it. So that's what I'm saying. But now, what's happening is, in our space especially, people are vetting, which is good. They're making sure that what you say is what you do. They come out and see that you exist. Just one little horror story. A company, a nonprofit was vetted. And what basically they did was they hired people in to sit in as board members and as part of the thing. And then they look like legit. But when you do some digging and you look for the books and stuff, they don't exist. They're actually a shell. And I mean, that's basically money laundering. So those type of things, but why did they get away with it? Because the people at the top weren't doing what they were supposed to do. They were taking their cut and they were happy. So that's what I'm saying. Now that they're vetting, yes, it makes it harder.
Now companies are vetting even more. They come in and they check what exactly is going on.
Correct. They must make sure. It makes it harder for us to get the necessary donations and the funds that we need.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have that than people's money and livelihoods being taken from them because the money's going in the wrong place. Exactly. So I'd rather put the extra work in so that we can get and we know and we can prove, okay, this is what you're doing. Here's our annual financials, that type of thing.
Okay, now I understand that makes 100% sense. And I never knew that they're doing such, and it makes sense that they're doing such serious vetting, like you said. So they check and they come to your company and they check exactly who you are.
Exactly.
Because I mean, you could easily be a shell corporation, filling in documents across.
There's like 300,000 nonprofits registered. And if you ask yourself, if there's so many nonprofits, then why do we still look the way we look?
Everybody should be like sorted, like.
Exactly. So it makes you ask the question. So that's why I'm glad about it. Yeah.
No, that's good, man. You and your wife are doing awesome work in this space. So the future is having this one building. Are you going to stop there?
No. So the future is this first building. So when we started, we always knew it was going to be a national thing and actually might even become an international thing. So we're starting here. So for Santa Cral, that building, once it's done, I mean, back to the sustainability thing, it's not just going to stop there. We'll have a 5-a-side pitch on there for sports development, but Astro so that we can do various sports on the same, because you need to be able to use it. It needs to be multi-purpose. And then we're going to have like little business hubs to bring income into the organization. So like, you have a coffee shop, which will be dual purpose, income and training. And then, because the other thing that's big now is you can't just say, okay, I sent 10 people on training. That's great. They want to see those 10 people, where are they now? Have they been employed? So that's the thing. That's part of the vetting now. Because otherwise I can say, I'm going to start a nonprofit. I'm going to do skills development training. Sounds fantastic. Have 10 people sit around the table, give them a printed out certificate, and they go on their way. But they're not placed. They're still in the same situation. So the big thing now is they want to see that that person is actually employed and is doing better. So all our things that we're busy with, make sure that the person, once they are done with their training, are then placed in an organization, placed at a company. So you have to have the right strategic partners. So once that is done, now we've got, so it's taken us 5 years to get to this point now. So next year we will be built and we'll lift and shift from where we are. Currently, we've got about 30 odd families. That equates to about 120 individuals that we work intimately with. And then we do bigger, like, we all have like a job creation thing where we have the greater community there. So we'll lift and shift that into the building. The building will then accommodate 600. So if you do the math, I'm going to be extremely grey with all that. But then once we've got it all, and I don't want to do another site until I know exactly how to operate this one to the best of my ability. I want to do it with excellence. So my 10-year or 5-year plan is get this building up, give it 2 years, we should be good. Then we hand it over to the people that we've already busy training up in the community. They will run it, and we will still obviously provide oversight check-in. Then we move to the next location. Where that is, we don't know yet, but obviously that's where the City of Cape Town comes in, where we say to them, okay, where's your need? What do you need? Where do you need it? And then we go from there. Because I know if you go to Nyanga, I think Nyanga's got like an organization on almost every corner, but there's still chaos. So it has to be done in a way that how we did it, we came in, we met with the community leaders, the gangsters, the pastors, the taxi fraternities, all of them, and said, listen, this is who we are. What do you need? They gave us a rundown, and we said, okay, this is what we bring. The two overlapped, they fit, so we started. If they told us...
You met with all these people before you went into the area?
Before we even go in. Because it doesn't make sense to come with, we know this is what we're going to do, this is our mandate. It doesn't make sense for me to come in and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, but then they don't need it. You know, they need to need it. It needs to be in line with what they want. Because if you don't, then you're wasting your time.
Don't the gangsters or the organized crime keep you out?
No. So it's how you do it. That's what I'm saying. We had a meeting before we even stepped foot in for Santa Clara. We asked permission to come in, and we had a meeting with all of them. Because you have to. You can't just step into the community and act like you own the place and know everything and tell them, I'm going to sort out all your problems. That's when you start off on the wrong foot, and that's when they kick you out. Because we've seen it happen as well.
Okay, so you met with all these stakeholders before the time,
yeah.
And then you went into these areas for Santa Clara.
Yeah, and then they said to us, yes, we need this, this, and this. And then our original plan was we were going to come into Santa, we were going to buy land, raise funds to buy land, build, and then start. So we were just going to come in and work as best we could. Yeah. The community said no, they want us there on the ground. And then they insisted that there's a company that builds all the RDP houses. They insisted that they give us a premises.
So you got 2 premises.
So we've got 2 RDP houses. They're connected. They form like the business hubs.
Okay.
And that's what we're using. So we're renting that, and once our building is up, then we move.
Okay.
And then that goes back to the community for something else.
So your training programs, where do you get these training programs from? Do you develop them yourself? Do you write them up yourself, or do you get them from somewhere?
Yeah. So both. So basically, we have what we call strategic partners.
Yeah.
So we will speak to an organization that has the same heart as us, that we've vetted, that we've actually met with. We see what they do, we like what they do, and we see the success. There has to be success in it, otherwise it's just a waste of time. Okay. Then we speak to them about coming in and partnering with us.
Okay, so that's what you mentioned earlier, you're big on partnering. You partner with somebody that has the skills or knows about the skills, and then work with them in that way. I see what you do.
So for example, our music program, right? So my daughter's the musician. I'm not. If I sing now, this podcast will end. So basically what we did was we spoke to the Mitchells Plain Music Academy.
Yeah.
They are known in Mitchells Plain for the amazing work they do. We had a meeting. We told them what we want to do. We said, we're not musicians, you guys are. And they were like, yeah, let's partner. So they come in once a week and they do music. So they do keyboard, guitar. We're waiting for our drums. Once we get finances for drums, then the drums are going to a separate room because of that noise. And then we've got their vocal trainer as well. So that happens every Thursday. Okay. So they come out and they do that. So
that's why you mentioned big on partnering. You partner with everybody that's specific. It sounds a lot like networking. Is networking. Big part of what you do.
Yeah, part of my previous life was networking. I had to go out and meet people and connect and stuff. So just brought it across. And yeah, so, but what's key is the connection has to be there. There has to be that common understanding, like we're not doing this for ourselves, we're not doing this to make money, we're doing this to better the community. Because obviously you are going to meet people that are just going to not fit that mold, and then unfortunately it doesn't work out. But we've been blessed in the sense that every program that we do, we have a proper strategic partner. But then there is material that we do ourselves. So with the youth, for the young men, I try to find someone that would do like a type of program that fits in the community. So the problem is, like, if you look around, you'll have guys come in and they'll write up this whole father, son, or, you know, family thing for boys and how the boy's going to grow up. But then you read it and you're like, but this doesn't apply, because the boys in the community are exposed to stuff that the boys in the suburbs are not. So now you need to understand, okay, what is this kid going through? What's his life like daily? What he has to walk to wherever, dodge bullets, try not to get stabbed, things like that. So you need to understand the psyche, and then we need to develop it accordingly. So when I started doing that, I started taking notes and then researching. And now when I do my interactions, so I do a program with the youngsters and with the seniors. The youngsters obviously is a little bit easier because they're young. Even though they see these things, that doesn't impact them that much yet. When they get to the age of 10, between 10 and 14, that's when the wheels start to come off, because then they become very aware of what's happening around them. And that's when they start to try alcohol, they start to try dacha, whatever else is available. They start to steal to support that dacha, and they start to catch on nonsense. Girls start to become sexually active, and we have like 13-year-olds that are falling pregnant. So that, what we've done is, for that age group, we've got a specific trauma support group where a professional comes in. She works with them to ensure that they understand their worth, their identity, and how to deal with what they're feeling, right? So that's that age group. So I don't go there because I'm not a psychologist. So we have someone that can actually do that. But then I will work with the youngsters' behavior, looking at them, understanding what their homes are like. So I'm in the home. I'm with them. I go and I do house visits. So I know the family dynamics. So I can say, okay, this one's father's an alcoholic, how to deal with that. So then every week, every Monday, I'll do a specific lesson with them at different things that, you know, to build them up. Be a father, basically, because 90% of them don't have fathers, unfortunately. And like, they need the proper role models, because funny story is, when I just started, I had an engagement with the boys. We finished a soccer match. We were sitting, and I asked them, like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to be when you're older? Everybody, the policeman, because that's what they see. Somebody wanted to work for the council. And then one boy, and I'll never ever forget, this is basically what opened my eyes. He said, Uncle Mike, and he said it in Afrikaans, ek wil op die hoek sit, op 'n kruit, met my okka en 'n bier. And in English, basically, he wants to sit on the corner with his okka pipe and his beers. And I looked at this kid, and then it hit me, because when we looked at the corner, his father and his grandfather sitting there doing exactly that. So the problem is, they see it. Like we always say, you can tell a child a million things. Unless you act it out, they're not going to take it. So then I realized, okay, they need to see something different. This is their reality. They need to see something different. And that kid now wants to be a pilot. So he went from one extreme to the other. But it's like, that was like where the switch went on for me. It's like, I realized, Mike, you're not here to just mess around. You need to actually make sure that whatever you do is impactful on these kids, because they're going to look to you. Because the 10-year-olds look to the 13-year-olds, who look to the 16-year-olds, and so on and so on.
Don't they rub off on you?
Yes. So I'll be honest. I mean, in the beginning, I was a stack. I was that oak man. I could deal with anything, everything. And I basically went through life like, nothing impacted me. And after about a year into it, my wife said to me, you need to go for counseling, my friend, because she could see, like, it was, you know, when I was starting to deal with things, it was becoming a bit harder and becoming more like, I always just say I'm not an emotional man unless I watch my team play soccer. Then the emotions come out, but then I started to, like, you know, she could see now. So I started to go for counseling because it hits you. It's physically and mentally draining. So eventually you get to the point where you're like, okay, now you need help. And you can only talk to your wife so much, man, because she's also dealing, you know? Yeah. So she was doing a purity course for the girls, because unfortunately, like I said, between the age of 10 and 13, they're sexually active. And she now tried to instill in them, because the father in the home gives the child the identity, right? If you do the research, that's where it stems from. So that's why you will have a lot of girls like that we deal with. They meet boys and the boys say, I love you. I'll give you the stars and the moon. And the next thing you know, that girl is pregnant. And then the guy is missing because it's both sides. The girl's looking for the love. The boys are just wanting one thing because they also don't know their identity. They don't know what it is to be a man. So everything that we started doing, that we started developing, is focused on those things. Teaching those gents to be gentlemen, to respect the women, that just turning around and smacking a girl because she's in your way or she's taken something that's wrong. But they've seen it, so they think it's okay. So yeah, that's so we do both.
I still working with kids. You want to say something? No. Working with these people, with people in this situation.
Yeah.
These people, with people's in these situations, and talking to them all the time, and going into their houses, and I feel that it must leave something on you, and it must come from a deeper place for you to want to do it. Yeah. I mean, this is not about the money.
Nah.
What's it really about? Like, what keeps you going? Like for me, right? Like work is tough. Like I feel my work is tough and stressful. But I go home to my kids and I look out at my nice house and I'm like, okay, it's all worthwhile.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
What is your deeper? You must have a deep, worthwhile.
So for me, it's faith, man. That's God. It's like I said, I'm a Christian. My wife and I are both Christians. And that's where that calling comes from. There's no other way to explain it. It's like I wouldn't have walked away from corporate and that life and kept doing this if it wasn't for that. It's the only thing that I realized, that there's a bigger purpose, there's something more to life than, like you said, the nice house, the nice car, and money. There's more to it. And this is it. It's like, for me, I know from young already, I always loved being around kids. I come from a big family. I'm the youngest of 8. So there's been children around. I mean, I always joke and I say I was an uncle when I was 2 years old. Because I was a laat lamaki. So, the funny thing with it is that with that, I've always known kids is going to play a big role in my life. I've been a soccer coach. I've always been involved. But that's when I realized this is what I was called to do. It's just one of those things that, some oaks just know they're going to pick up a guitar, they start playing, hey, that's going to be a legend. That's going to be Jonathan Butler type of thing. With me, it was like as soon as I stepped into that community and I started doing this, I knew this is what I was meant to. This is what I was made for. This is what I was supposed to do. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment.
You're made for.
Yeah, that's what I was made for. As grey as I am, that's what I was made for.
No, but I think it's purpose. Purpose, no? That's what I know you see it as faith, but I see it as that there's a great purpose that you feel that you have to achieve, and if your faith is driving that purpose, then it is and I mean, it should be that way.
Yeah,
it should be that way. You should have something that's greater. You want to say something? Oh, you got something. Yeah. Every 1 rand of the tax is 50% gets spent, but it is in the Western Cape. What does that mean?
It was the previous conversation that you guys had.
Mr. Ogle.
Proudly,
that's where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Belleville. Did you go to CPUT or
no.
CPUT?
No. So high school was Bello High. So my Bello boys also there. And then I decided, my father, they were all like, what are you going to do? So I said, no, I'm not going to go UCT, CPUT and all that. Because I realized very quickly there that was the time when IT was booming. So I knew if I had to go do a 3-year IT degree, by the time I'm done, then the market's going to be saturated. So I went and I did a 1-year diploma at the college. Then I got a job and then I studied like that. So I first got into the job market. After 1 year,
And now you're doing the purpose.
Now I'm following my purpose.
So every morning you wake up, it's like, I have purpose. I'm not IT.
I'm tired, but I have purpose. But what's amazing is like, I can see like the plan, like Craig here from Glenhaven. A lot of my connections today come from guys from Glenhaven, from high school, from my IT background, like companies that we work from, they've all come from. So that's been amazing to see that people that, you grow up with, that all want to still give back. And and my wife has a nice way of saying it. She always says that, not everyone is called to be hands and feet, but everybody has a role to play. Whether it's you have professional services, whether it's finance, whatever, there's always something that you can do.
You know what I was also thinking about earlier is like groceries are expensive nowadays, bro. And it's going higher and higher and higher. Don't the stress of the ever increasing lifestyle like impact you as well?
Yes, it does. I mean, just like everybody else, we have bills to pay. Kids in school. Like I said, my daughter's finishing matric, and next year she's pursuing arts, so she's going into music. And I mean, then my son goes into matric. So yeah, there's bills to pay. But what has been amazing is like we've got a massive, like a proper family support system. Like so, my wife's family supports us on a month to month, and then that always is there. So we don't have to stress so much about it. But yeah, things are expensive. Like everybody else, we struggle. But
support system.
Yeah, the support system is key. And they can't always give like financially.
Yeah.
But just knowing that them is there. And like I said, like for 9 months we struggled. Oh, there's my wife. Yeah. So, and that's my sister.
Awesome. People listening.
So that's what I'm saying. There is that support system which keeps us going. But I mean, I can't tell you, like in the last 9 months, like I said, we had with the issues with some of the donors. For 9 months, I didn't receive a salary.
Yeah.
I still right now, my wife and I sat there and we did our books and we were like, we don't know how we got through. Only by the grace of God. There was like the way things came through because, I mean, bills were paid. Food we had food in the fridge. Kids' school fees, yeah, there was maybe a month or two that it was delayed, but it still got paid.
It's crazy how somehow you always make it now.
Yeah, you always just get
by the grace of God.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna say, me and my wife, we had a few tough financial months, but we always just managed to scrape through.
Yeah.
I mean, we even had like a scare where we had to take it. My daughter, she got the bead stuck up her nose.
Oh, snap.
She didn't get one bead stuck up her nose. She got 2 beads stuck up her nose. So we managed to get the first one out, but the second one we couldn't get out. So we had to take it to like the emergency room and stuff like that. But I mean, these are all things that happen, and like I don't know. There's a bigger purpose out there than somehow we make it through.
Exactly.
Everything is always all right. My daughter's all right. She's healthy. Financially, we're strong. Everything's always good. Like and it's somehow we make it. Like, but yeah. It's always good to be in that space. And I'm glad that you also always make it through. But, exactly. and you even seem to be building this massive place. And I hope this project really takes off next year.
No, it's going to. I mean, there's no doubt. Think about this. We bought that land during a pandemic.
You bought it then. You bought it for cheap.
Yeah, but
somebody let's see you.
I wish, it should have been given to us, to be honest. But seriously, I mean, that's just again during a pandemic.
Yeah,
people gave money towards buying a piece of land because they saw what the vision was. So yeah, I mean, that's what I say is like things get expensive, but I always have faith in people, man. People are gonna let you down. Let's not get it wrong, but there's always gonna be the right person that's gonna be sent and come out at the right time.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, we're going to wrap things up. Sure. Thank you for joining me this evening. You want to say something?
Yeah, just before we say goodbye, the viewers, we have been quiet for a while, but we, Cape Conscious Media is focusing on a youth podcast.
Yeah.
And we're partnering up with a big organization that does film and stuff like that. So just... keep your eyes peeled to the post, to the social media platforms for this new youth podcast that we're starting soon.
Yeah, man, and we're always gonna be community based, like when it's in the youth and people coming on. Sorry, I'm missing up here. Like other people coming on. Like I think that is our core of what we want to do. That driving that purpose is really what we want to do. So thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you for coming all the way from Durbanville. I hope somebody's here in this message and somehow can connect the dots also with you so that you can even spread your message further and do even more awesome work.
No, thank you for having me, man. It was fantastic.
Anything else you want to...
Look, I'm available. You guys need help with getting the right people on here. Let me know.
Really?
Yeah.
I might take you up on that. We're going to take you up on it.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyway, please like, share and subscribe. Peace. We out.